In this episode we will be covering modules. A module is another Python file that can share its code with your file. The three modules that we will cover in this video are time module, reading and writing to a file, and random. Starting off with the time module. To import a module, type import, then the module's name. Now that we have imported the module time, we have access to its functions. The only function that we will be going over in the time module is the sleep function. The sleep function stops the code for a certain amount of time. For example, on the first line we are simply importing the time module. Then, on the next line we simply print hello. Then, on the third line we are using the sleep function in the time module. This function will pause the code for a few seconds. And we can pass in a parameter, which will be a number, to say how long we want to pause for. So, when we run the program, it will print hello, then after 2 seconds it will print bye. Let's try it out. Without the sleep function, hello is printed, then, immediately after, bye is printed. Adding the sleep function, with a parameter of 2, will pause the code, and anything after the sleep function will have to wait 2 seconds before being executed. As shown, when we run the program, hello is being printed, then, a 2-second wait, then bye is printed. Moving on to working with files. There are 3 things we need to know when working with files. How to read from a text file, how to write to a text file, and how to append to a text file. Starting off with reading from a text file. First, let's create the text file that we want to read from. I will name it text.txt. Then, enter in some random text. To read from a text file, use the open function, then pass in 2 parameters. One for the location of the text file, and another parameter for the action that you're going to do. So in this case we want to read the file, so we will use the letter R. We then need to store this in a variable. I will call this variable file. Then, using this variable, we can use the function readLines. We can then store this in another variable, which will store the content of the text file. So I will call the variable content. Finally, we can use the function close. This isn't necessary, but you could face problems if you don't have this. Lastly, we can print out our text content. Let's try this out. Make sure to use a lowercase r. As shown, our text content is being printed in an array. Each item in the array is each line in the text file, so in this case, since we only have one line in the text file, our array has only one item. So, let's add another line to our text file. Now, when we print the text content, we get an array with 2 items. We can then print out each line individually by using list indexing. Let's move on to writing to a text file. First, let's remove the text from the text file. We can simply just modify our previous code slightly. Start off by changing the letter R to W. This stands for write. Then on the second line, type the file's variable name, then .write. Inside the write function, enter a string. This string will be the text content. Now, when running the program, our text file will be rewritten with our string. However, when writing to a text file, we rewrite the entire file, so all the text content will be removed and replaced with the new string. So, if we would like to keep our text content and simply just add new text, then we can use append. I am going to drag the text file onto the screen so we can see it. Make sure you use the letter A. So, if I use the string by, it will be appended onto the current content of the text. So, as shown, we get hello by. Now, if we would like to append on a new line, then we have to do the same, but we have to use \n. \n simply means new line. So when we add this onto our string, the string gets put on a new line. As shown, when we run the program, our string is being put on a new line. That's it for using files in Python. Let's move on to using the random module. We will be going over 3 functions from this module. Getting a random number, getting a random item in an array, and shuffling an array. So, firstly, I am going to make a variable called myRandom. Then, type random.randint, then, inside the brackets enter 2 parameters. The first parameter will be the lowest number you want, and the second parameter will be the highest number you want. So, when running the program multiple times, we get random numbers from 1 to 6. Also both 1 and 6 are included. Moving on. Let's create a list of fruits. To get a random item from a list, use random.choice. Then as the parameter enter your array. You can store the random item in a variable like I have. As shown, we are getting a random item. Moving on to the last bit, using random.shuffle, then your array as the parameter will randomly shuffle the items in your array. For this one, your original variable for your array will be shuffled, so you don't need to make a new variable. And that's it for modules. Keep in mind there are thousands of modules, so you will not be able to learn all of them. We have only covered the top few.